Welcome to the Morale Booster Network, a platform for entrepreneurs, career professionals, leaders, and the general public to give back to the society through coaching and mentoring. I remain your host, Dr. John Ugulu. I am an author, speaker, and strategist. I always say experience is the best teacher. You can stream or download this podcast from YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Google Podcast, Player FM, and Pandora. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello, Morale Boosters. Welcome to the Morale Booster Podcast. I am Dr. John Ugulu, your host, and today I am thrilled to welcome our special guest, Tanisha Taylor.
Thank
Morale
you.
Boosters, you're welcome. You're welcome. So, to everybody listening to us right now, if this is your first time listening to the Morale Booster Podcast, you're very welcome. Please remember to leave a comment, and share the broadcast, because you might just be saving the life of that one person who has been waiting for a lifetime to hear the message that we will be sharing today. So let's embark on this inspiring journey together. And I always like to remind members of the Morale Booster Empire that every day above ground is a blessed day. Yes, because so many people went to bed last night having plans for today, but unfortunately, some couldn't see daylight. But guess what? You can hear me right now because you are blessed with the gift of life. So if you are genuinely happy to be alive this moment, I want you to place your hand on your chest wherever you are and say, I am blessed. Yes, you are blessed.
I am blessed.
Yes, we are all blessed,
Yeah.
highly favored. Yes. So before we get started, I want to remind everybody that if you feel blessed, I mean blessed beyond measures, or inspired by today's podcast when we're done, you can support the work we do here by making a donation. What we do is we do online coaching and mentoring. We bring guests to come here and share their experience, their knowledge with members of the Morale Booster Empire. So all donations go to the John Ugulu Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. So if you'd like to make a contribution today and make a difference, go over to our website, www.johnugulu.com. It's www.johnugulu.com, or you can click the link in our show notes below. So we're going to be live today with our guest, Tanisha Taylor. Now, she is a life coach. She is an inspirational speaker. She is a trainer and an author. She has over 25 years of experience. Let me rephrase that. She has close to 3 decades of experience managing her family business, including real estate, franchise planning, and business planning, plus over another 2 decades, almost 3 decades in the banking and financial industry, coaching hundreds of personal and business clients. Now, that's not all. Tanisha transitioned from her full-time career to entrepreneurship in the year 2022. She started her life coaching program and training resource center, which helps young adults create their ideal lives by teaching them valuable life skills through financial literacy, relationship building, growing their faith, and nutrition and fitness goals. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That's not all. In addition to life coaching young adults, Tanisha created the Entrepreneur Solutions Program, which helps young entrepreneurs build a solid foundation for structuring their businesses for long-term success. She was also featured, also a featured co-founder and speaker at the Firm Foundation Seminar. She is also a wife, a mom, a grandma, unbelievable, and she is a woman of God dedicated to helping young adults on their journey. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, please join me as I welcome Tanisha to the Morale Booster podcast. Welcome, ma'am. That's a beautiful portfolio right there. First of all, it's not easy to be a mom, it's not easy to be a grandma. You have all that in addition to your professional life. So I
Yeah.
must say, you are a superwoman indeed. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes. Thank you for having me today.
Right, right. With all those hats, the different hats you're wearing, there's so many people who would benefit a lot from it. And don't worry, by the grace of God, our podcast is global. We are streaming on over 20 platforms at
Hmm.
the same time. Only three video platforms, but more than 17 other audio platforms. So, yes, whatever you say today
Yes.
will be a blessing to someone. Are
Yes.
you ready for that?
Yes, I
Awesome.
am.
Good.
I am so excited to be here. Yes. And let's bring that energy.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. And what part of the country are you streaming from right now, Tanisha?
So I am streaming from Twinsburg, Ohio, which is about 20 to 30 minutes outside of Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, okay, that's great. And how's the weather there?
The weather is very, very cold, which is normal for this time of the year.
Okay, so I guess you are all used to the snow. Does it snow there every year?
Yes, snows every year. Yeah, we definitely. But I would say in the last couple years we have been very, very blessed. I remember in the '80s, growing up as a little kid, '70s, '80s, that it just snowed from October to April. So now, this generation is kind of spoiled. We may get like, December, January, and at that time, the snow was up to your knees, and you still had to go to school.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me tell why. Let me tell you why I was actually laughing when you were smiling when you were saying that. You mentioned the '80s. Like I was like, first of all, I saw your profile, your grandma, and now you're talking about like the '80s. And trust me, ladies and gentlemen, to those of you who cannot see her face, trust me, this face doesn't look like a grandma's face at all. Like it looks like someone who's still in her mid 20s. So what's the secret? What's the secret behind that?
What's the secret behind it? Okay, so the secret number one, and I love the fact that we can talk in this space, is that I really live a pure Christian life. So secret number one, I love the Lord. I'm a Christian, and I have relationship. A lot of times I tell people it's not about the activities that you do. A lot of times we like to say, "Oh, I go to church and I'm on this board and I'm on this and this activity and that thing in my local church," but I believe it's about having a relationship. And with the relationship, it brings those components. It brings joy. It brings peace. It brings, even when there's difficulties, being a mom or a wife or a grandmother, you still have that ability knowing that God is with you. He's your helper. And then after that is just being able to be motivated to know that you have these things that you need to do. And for me, I'm just like, I know I need to do certain things, and I'm always in behavior mode. Like, what is the behavior that I need to do to get the results? So if that means, how do I stay looking young? Then I mean I need to eat some good food that's healthy and nutritionist. I need to exercise. I need to make sure that my life stays at a balance where I'm doing things that offset that in the self-care. And so I believe just those things, sometimes we get real complex and we, have all these lists of things we need to do and rituals of preparation. But I believe it's being consistent in your faith, and then consistent in when you're setting certain goals for yourself. How do you get there, and making sure your behavior matches those things that you want to have and you want to achieve.
Wow, absolutely. Everything you just talked about now completely resonates with me, and thank you so much for sharing that. And
Yes.
I'll say that you are a person of faith. That's one. And secondly, we need to also thank God for the genes. You got
Yes,
good genes, and that alone is more than enough to be grateful to the Almighty God for. And
absolutely.
yes, thank you so much. All right, so let's get started. Now, with over 25 years of experience, which is almost 3 decades
Hmm.
in banking, real estate, and franchise planning, you made a bold transition to full time entrepreneurship in 2022. Now,
Hmm.
what inspired you to take that leap, and how did your background in business influence your approach to life coaching and training young adults?
So when I look at the word, when people say, how do you leap into things? I think people that leap into things have a little craziness in them. A little crazy. You got a little crazy to just, leave your career and say, okay, I'm going to jump into something, with not any knowing, no, you do plan, but still at the same time, you don't have any certainties of will it work? Is this the thing that's really going to make a difference? Will people like it? And so I always say the craziness for me is my Christian readiness to answer the call in a zealous way and to say yes to really pretty much everything. As an entrepreneur, I believe you're called to say yes, even if it means that you may fail, even if it means it's risky, you still have to have that zeal to say, you know what, I'm called to this and I have to say yes. And if something goes a way that I don't think is the pathway or the direction that I wanted it to, I still got to say yes to find another answer, another solution. So I say the leap, when I think of it, is just that, the faith and those Christian things that holds on helps you to be a risk taker, helps you to go out in bold spaces and go out in oceans and territories that you're not familiar with, because my 30 years was a comfort zone. Clockwork, paycheck, comfort zone, commissions, things that I didn't have to really think outside of the box. But at a time in your life, as you're aging, and I guess I'm aging gracefully, you step back and you really say, what really matters now? Have I done my complete purpose? Is there another side to my purpose? Because I believe that I was doing my purpose in those 20s, 30s, and 40s, and now going into my 50s, in my 50s, is saying, okay, what is the next thing? And we all sometimes, when we get to those milestones in life, we start looking at our life and saying, what should I be doing now? And for me, why I picked young adults is because most of the things in my life happened at that age. So if I did like a timeline, I'm like at 19, I was married. At 21, I was finishing college. By 25, I had 3 kids. By 29, I was divorced. That was a lot of life transitions going on in that young adult space. And so when I thought about this business and how I was going to navigate and who I was going to help, I said, you know what, it has to be young adults. It has to be young adults because that is a crucial, and it's a heartbeat and a posture where a lot of decision making happened for me. And I knew that I had resources and I had tools to be able to be successful in some things and also fail in some things. And so that's really, I would say, when you start taking the full circle of your life, I feel I'm at the age now that I can be more so preparing the way, helping others get to those points in their young adult stage.
Awesome. That's great. And your response now takes me to the next question, because I was going to ask you about your niche. And
Mm-hmm.
thank you for reiterating the importance of, you being a person of faith,
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, that's where the whole thing starts from. But sometimes it could be complicated or challenging explaining to people the importance of believing in God. So
Yes.
you talked about being a person of faith, and that gave you the readiness in all
Mhm.
areas. So I really do appreciate you for sharing that. All right.
Yes.
So my next question is, now your coaching program focuses on helping young adults build their ideal lives, especially with an emphasis on financial literacy,
Hmm.
relationships, faith, and fitness, which are key areas of life, especially
Hmm.
for the young adults. Now, how do you balance these different aspects, and why do you believe they are all crucial for young people to achieve personal and professional success? So the first question is, how do you balance it, and why do
Hmm.
you feel it's crucial for young adults to achieve personal and professional success?
So, how I balance it is based on what I had mentioned a little bit before, is you always need to have a plan. You have to understand that that plan has to be flexible. It has to be able to, you got to be able to pivot in that plan. But a lot of times I hear people always refer to the mindset. And that is true. And we do need to have the right mindset. But I believe a lot of times people have the right mindset, but then they sometimes don't go the next step to creating, like, what is the behavior? Like, I got my mind together, and I found that that was one of the things that helped me to balance all this, is because once I had a thought, once I had a goal, then I had to look and say, how do I get there? Because now this is my behavior. What do I need to do consistently to do the thing that I wanted to do with the life and to balance out the life? And then I would also say, once you know you got your mindset together, you got your behavior set, then you got to take action. You got to execute that. You got to execute, whether it's your money position, whether it's your relationship, your fitness and health, entrepreneurship, career, really the bones of everything, the foundational piece. Once you build that, then you can move that thing over to each area, because your behavior set, if you're creating great behavior sets with money, it's the same with relationships, is the same in fitness and health. So I usually, when I'm doing the program with the young people, the main focus is foundation. How do we get the foundation together? Because if we get the foundation together, we can pivot and move between the different things. And all those things are crucial to the quality of life. You can be good with your money, but if you're not good in relationship, you may destroy some good relationships, but you got money. You can be good in your health, but maybe you're not giving God the credit for why you have good life. So I think all those things are connected. And once you get your behavior, your mindset, your behavior set, your action, your execution, then you need a little spice. You need a little tenacity, because there are going to be things where life not going to give you got plans and you write them down and you make these goals, and then a life moment happens, and now everything that you wrote down, everything that you structured, I didn't envision myself being divorced at 29 with 3 kids. You just don't get married at 19 and say, oh, by the way, at 10 years from now I'm going to be divorced and I'm going to be a single mom. But you got to learn that when those life moments help, that's why I said that leap is always still connected to the Christian readiness. Readiness that when that next thing comes, the dark thing comes, the trial and tribulation comes, you got to be ready. And that's what I believe entrepreneur spirit is, because it's spiritual. It's really saying, you know what, I have that fortitude to be able to address everything that life has and everything that life presents to me. And that readiness with Christianity helps you to balance that thing. So I always say my roots and my system of my foundation and how firm it is based on that rock. It's based on the rock of the faith. And then everything else just starts to build. And once you get those things in place, remember, you can just pivot from one or the other. If you're good in this area, you bring that same you to the table with those same mindsets, behavior sets, actions, tenacity, and you win in that thing.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing. And you mentioned a very key thing that resonates with me. You said you're able to put all this together, wear these hats, because you understand the importance of planning, and
Mhm.
planning is key. And Benjamin Franklin once said, if you fail to plan,
Mhm.
you're planning to fail. So
Mhm.
planning is a major thing.
Mhm.
I'm also one who multitasks. I get too many things on my plate at the same time. But I understand the importance of planning, just like you mentioned, and time management.
Mhm.
Without those two, it could be challenging for everybody. And thank you for sharing that. To
Mhm.
everyone who's listening right now, always understand the importance of planning. And you also talked about a major reason why you chose that niche of working with young adults, helping them prepare for life, because life will certainly throw
Mhm.
curveballs at us. It's all about, you cannot separate success and failure. You understand? Is that correct?
That's correct.
You cannot separate them. You cannot. So sometimes parents raise children making them feel that failure is a bad thing.
Mhm.
But you cannot separate failure from success. You have to fail your way to success. And that's where people like you come in,
Mhm.
to help them develop that mindset, understanding the importance of accepting life as
Mhm.
a journey where failure will come, especially when you're living as a human being. It will
Yes.
come, challenges will come, but those things don't come to make us weak. They come to help us become better, wiser, and stronger. So
Mhm.
you mentioned all that, and thank you so much for sharing that. I don't know who's listening to us right now, but please remember to like, leave a comment, and share this broadcast, because you might just be saving the life of that one person who
Mhm.
has been waiting for a lifetime to hear the message we're talking about right now. All right, so let me go to my next question. You've worked with hundreds of personal and business clients,
Mhm.
and you've also created the Entrepreneur Solutions Program. So, what are some of the most challenges, the most common challenges young entrepreneurs face when starting out?
I would say the biggest challenge is the illusion of what entrepreneurship is. I think that's the main thing, is because our society, social media, everything presents this being an entrepreneur as this glamorous life. And it doesn't show the hardships, the dark days, the financial struggles, the things that really come into entrepreneurship. And so that's why I wanted to create that, because I knew that people were really, especially young people, ones definitely that didn't go to college, and gets the background. College and career actually prepares you and give you foundation. It gives you practice. It gives you experience. And some of the young adults, if they bypass that and they go right into owning their own business or doing the online businesses and different things like that, sometimes they miss that foundational piece because they're caught up in the ease, the quickness. And then it's like, okay, now we got to step back and ask some questions. How financially stable is your business? How have you legally protected the business? Do you have insurance on the business? And some of those things that are foundational to the structure, are you going to be able to get credit? Are you going to be able to grow and scale? Is this business going to support your family? And if you're not having these conversations and you're just looking at the glamour of what entrepreneurship looks like, you're setting yourself up for failure. Like, there's a difference in failing and setting yourself up for failure. So a lot of times, if there's not that preparation, if there's not that playbook, that strategic planning, then you can just fall right into a ditch. And so the entrepreneur journey was to create saying, yes, It is awesome and amazing to be an entrepreneur. But now you need to make sure that you have the grounding of that thing so that it can become a business. So you know how to function in credit, you know how to function in marketing, you know how to do financials. Even if you're not the expert, I say, every business person, we know these common things. You're going to have your attorney, you're going to have your banker, you're going to have your IT person, you're going to have a marketing specialist. You're going to have, even if you're not able to hire these people, least you want to have them where you can have conversations, whether you're in networking or groups. Maybe I can't afford to get all these people on board at the beginning, but I can be in networking circles. I can be in places where I can learn the information that I need to have at foundation. And I just believe I'm so, like when you say, what is your passion or what you're doing, it's people's foundation. Because it's like anything else. If you build a house and you don't put that right foundation, everything that you build from there, it can be lopsided, it can fall off. And so foundation principles are key to life, they're key to business, they're key to relationships. So that is the biggest thing that I see sometimes that people, especially young people, have a challenge with, is just ready to be in that fast pace of starting that business and not the focus, strategic, analytical thinking of what is really the foundational structure of what this business needs to do to provide quality life for me and possibly quality life for a family if that's what you choose.
Awesome, great. Thank you so much for sharing. And the service you provide, the coaching and training service you provide is highly essential, especially now that we have the internet
Mhm.
and too many wannabe gurus who are out there, showcasing only the glam of the whole thing,
Mhm.
failing to let people understand that there is a law called the law of sowing and reaping, which means you have to sow before you reap. You can never reap before you sow.
Mhm.
So what you're doing makes a whole lot of sense. And too many, because of these wannabe gurus, too many people make the mistake of just jumping out of their employment
Mhm.
without any plans, getting into entrepreneurship, not thinking about life as a journey or a process. So
Mhm.
I want to encourage you to please keep doing what you do. And I believe your program, should be promoted as much as we possibly can. And yeah, do you typically encounter people who want to start businesses and find it challenging to source or get the required startup capital?
Yes, so for the young people that we normally, the ones that have started business, and I always like to say you kind of start at home. You practice on who you can practice on. So my daughter was pretty much like my first person to help before I knew that this is the direction outside of my family. So
Mhm.
I come from an entrepreneur family. So my parents have always been entrepreneurs. So I was able to see like both sides of the road here, like, okay, what the career path takes you, and how people that have never went to college and this is all they've done is supported themselves through an entrepreneur journey. And so yes, you find that a lot of times that it's one of the biggest struggle is the financial piece, because there's so many layers. And I always encourage young people, if you can go to college, if you can go to associate's degree, you still want to get some type of education, because it's going to help you in the process of being a business, going to alleviate some of the struggles because you'll have some of those things. And then also when we talk about the financial, I always tell people it doesn't have to be a war between the two. You can do the two together, because that financial positioning, if you have a career, if you have a job, now that's going to lessen the burden on that business. So now you can know that I have somewhere to live. I know I have a place to have money to buy groceries and pay my utilities, opposed to stressing out the business. And I see so many young people and just people in general, when they don't have that financial piece, then on this business side, the thing that you were passionate about, the thing that you loved and excited, it can become now your worst nightmare. So it's like you have this passion, you're like, oh, I love this thing, I can't wait to do it. But then we all know that when you cannot have quality of life, then the thing that you were most passionate can be that nightmare to you. So yes, finances and financial positioning is pretty much the number one thing why businesses fail, why they're hard to start, and not just necessarily about the starting part, because I see a lot of people start, but when we look at statistics, I think it's right about 80% or so that they say within the first 5 years that those businesses do not make it. And so now we got to say, well, why does the businesses not make it? Why they're not healthy and sustainable in their growth? And number one reason a lot of times is the position to, like you said, get capital and scale, because now do you have your banker as your friend? Do you have your banker helping you and guiding you through the process? No, a lot of times we're single, we're solo entrepreneurs, and we don't have those friends and those networking people to say, this is what you should be doing next. This is the next thing that's going to help you to now, if you're in year number 4 and you need to buy more equipment, or you need to buy more merchandise, or you need to buy a building, how do you do those things? And it goes back to, like I said at the beginning, you have to have a plan. You have to have those strategic things that you're using as your playbook. And if you start doing that in life on your personal level, then that will again come over and you'll be able to function that way on the business side. So I always tell people, when you're talking about financial, how is your personal finance? Because if your personal finance needs some help, or it's not where you need to be, that's usually where you want to start first, because 9 times out of 10, if that personal side of your life is not together, then it's just going to bleed on over to your business side.
Absolutely. That right there, that right there, that requires a lot of experience to
Yes.
figure that out. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Just based on your experience, are there businesses that people can start with $1,000 from your experience?
Yeah, I think like what I'm seeing that's most successful, like for young people, is when they are doing like the online business, just taking just basic, simple giftings that you have that doesn't require, a brick and mortar. It doesn't require a lot of inventory. So I do see in places like when people are doing things in the fashion, or in spaces of doing hair or nails and things like that. Because one, there's a lot of people that are ready to pay. So I do tell young people, when you're going into these business models, you got to make sure, if you are in a position where you don't have a lot of financial things, you want to go to the thing that you do well, and then the thing that you can get your friends to buy. Because if you can get your friends to buy the thing that you're selling, then you can start something at a very low cost. Because typically that's also where people struggle, because they'll make something that it pleases them. I'm good at this, but do you have clients? Can you get a customer? So if you can get a customer, yes, you can take $1,000 a long way. So I would always tell my young people, when you're going through that entrepreneur mindset and you're trying to figure out this thing, you want to look at those things. How will I get my client? How would I get my customer? Who is my customer? And is my customer in the position to buy the thing or want to buy the thing that I'm selling? And so when they hit that and they get that right customer, and they know that that customer is going to buy, and they do some practice and some research to say, hey, if I make this type of product or this type of service, can I get people to buy from me? And I think that is kind of like the determining factor on how much money, because if you have something that people are going to buy and you're in this space of global market and you can put it on the internet, you can get that thing to sell. Yes, your financial problems or your financial struggles lessen. So that would be the recommend. Yes, you can start a business. It just depends on what type of business and can you sell to that client.
Right. So meaning, if there is an ad put out there saying, "Hey, we want to give somebody $1,000 to start a business. Share your business ideas, and we'll look at it." It means people will be able to come up with businesses that can be
Mhm.
started for
Mhm.
$1,000. Is that correct?
Correct. And that's
Awesome.
just the start. It's just the start. And it
Mhm.
also depends on what you're looking to do. But to start,
Right.
and I would say if someone did have $1,000 to start a business, I would tell them to use that first $1,000 to get a coach, to get someone that can help them structure the business. That would
Right.
be the number one. Because if you get that, once you get that foundation, once you get these strategic plans in place, the rest is history. And that's what people don't. They don't spend the money in the right places. And then the struggle comes after.
Awesome. Great. Now, let me share the reason why I asked you that question. And I know so many people are listening to this, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people will hear this too. I have come across too many people. My masters and PhD, they were both in entrepreneurship. So I
Mhm,
understand. I've been, my mom was an entrepreneur like my
mhm,
whole life. She had her own hotel. She ran the hotel till she
mhm,
retired. Now, someone else is running it, but she still owns the property and everything. So I can sell anything. Like,
mhm.
I might not be good with, doing hard work, but I can sell you anything, like
Mhm,
anything, right? I'm
mhm,
good at sales. Now, I see too many people thinking that if they don't have thousands and thousands and
mhm,
thousands and
mhm,
millions of dollars and having expensive brick and mortar, that they
mhm,
cannot start their businesses. For example, I've had a conversation with a man who says he wants to get into event space
mhm, mhm,
business, that he wants to start renting out event spaces. And he had no experience in the
mhm,
business
mhm.
and went all the way to take a loan of about 200,000.
Yeah.
And after taking the loan, he got caught up in, the hassles of starting a business. No coach. He later realized that he needed licenses. He
Mhm,
later realized that not every property can be approved for that. And, he was still paying this
mhm,
loan. The loan
mhm,
was already with him. And
mhm.
now that's one. I've also seen people who had no catering experience wanting to start restaurants, taking $300,000,
Mhm,
renting a space for a restaurant, not having experience.
mhm,
But based on the fact that I grew up with my mom, who was an
mhm,
entrepreneur, my dad was the one working, like he was
mhm,
the one, the employee, the government employee. He was a leader doing politics and all those things, bringing the money for her, right?
mhm,
But I saw her invest little things and it blows up. So
mhm,
I keep telling people, you
mhm,
don't need all the money in the world or
mhm,
a big loan to start a business. That man would have been able to be an event planner without even starting with up to $1,000. Reaching out to friends and saying, "Hey, allow me plan your wedding, allow me plan your birthday party, allow me," without having a brick and mortar, without having, right? and
Exactly.
and he would have started and learned from there.
Mhm.
Same thing with the restaurant person. That person would have started just by cooking from his or her house,
Yes.
telling people, "Hey, I can cook this for you," or "Let me come show you what." So I decided to ask you that question because I know so many people feel that they
Mhm.
need big money,
Yeah.
big loans to start
Mhm.
businesses. And I'm glad you said that it was possible.
Yes, it is. It's definitely possible. And I love you bringing up that. And I believe it's just our nature and our culture. Like I said, my mom, the same way my parents were entrepreneurs. So I seen it. I seen them start with small. So it's like it's almost kind of like we got a cheat code a little bit. So I'm like, I seen them start, with small, and then it grew, and then it got, and I remember being the oldest in my family, and I was the one that they sent to college. And so I was the one that was kind of like reading the things, and okay, what is that? Is that the right thing? Should we go? But I seen them from humble beginnings to build that thing. And if they would have done those things, like took out those big loans and got really extravagant in their processing, opposed to being able to say, there's nothing wrong with small beginnings. There's nothing wrong with that, people. It's part of every large corporation has small beginnings. And most wealthy people will tell you, don't spend. Do not spend until you start getting into the profit in any way. If you can borrow from your friends, you can make stuff at home. You don't want to get into the debt position, especially when you're new, right off. That will be like the last thing. There's no other way. And so there's so many things that you can do for free, and so many things that you can do. And I love this piece because, our families are very important. And there's a lot of why we struggle sometimes with the wealth component, because we don't use the people that are in our family, that'll say, I'm not going to charge you because I'm your brother. And I know that you're trying to get this. But when you're in that space, then families have to be whole, and families have to trust, and families have to want to help each other, because really those resources and those tools are in your family. And that's how generations become successful and they become wealthy, when you stay inside your core and you help each other help yourself build legacy. That's where it really starts, because I've seen my family do that, where everyone will come together so that someone can rise to the top. And then you wait for the next person when it's your turn. And you don't get jealous. And you don't want to compete, and you don't want to say why they're doing that. You know that your turn is coming. And when it's time for you to get that need, you have already, as you said before, you sold into something. And I have never seen a person sow into something and never get a harvest.
Amen. Thank you so much for sharing that and for reminding us about that. I really do appreciate you. And look, this has been an interesting conversation, trust me. Because if I am given the opportunity, I would ask you questions till it gets dark. But I know you're a busy person and you've got a lot on your plate. So I want to say thank you. Like, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for taking time off your extremely busy schedule to like come on this program to speak
Yeah.
to members of the Morale Booster community. And I know that this is just the beginning of many more collaborations.
Yes.
Yes. So thank you so much. I hope when next I invite you to the program, you will be willing to come by and share some more words of wisdom to my
Yeah.
community.
Absolutely. I thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Morale Booster Empire. I always tell you all that whatever has a beginning surely does have an end. It's about that time where we need to, bring this program to a close. But I want you all to know that I'm excited to share ways that you can stay connected with us. If you are not yet part of us, there's so many ways we can stay connected. I want to also remind you that yes, you can support with donations to John Ogulu Foundation. You can also purchase some inspirational books from that same website, www.johnogulu.com. If you want to listen to the latest podcast episodes from the Morale Booster, also on the website, johnogulu.com, go to resources. You will find the links right there. And another way you can stay connected is by becoming a part of our growing community. where we uplift and inspire one another every day. So you can subscribe for just $10 and receive exclusive content, daily motivation, and access to special events. If you are a subscribed member of the Morale Booster Empire, you have the opportunity to be a repeat guest on the Morale Booster podcast, where you can constantly advertise your goods and your services. Not just that, you stand a chance of being nominated for the Morale Booster Awards or the President's Lifetime Achievement Award. Yes, your service hours as a subscribed member of the Morale Booster podcast can get you qualified for nomination for the President's Lifetime Achievement Award. But you have to put in the work. You have to serve. It's all about serving people. So thank you for being a part of this journey with us. Together, we can continue to make a lasting impact and spread positivity in all we do. Remember, today is the first day of the rest of your life. Stay blessed, everybody, and bye for now.